And what is up? Welcome to the Sloppy Syndicate Show, the first show of 2023. And it is going to be a banger as usual, folks. So thanks for tuning in. Not only do we have the Flying Shoe, Mr. Matt from RFK Racing, we have my buddy, Mr. Poor Star, aka the janitor from Poor Star. So let me quit talking because obviously you don't want to hear me talk. Let's go ahead and bring the janitor in and pick his brain a little bit before we bring the Flying Shoe in. Talk a little postseason and a little preseason NASCAR, which gets underway February 5th at the LA Coliseum for the Busch Light Clash. And yeah, we'll get to know everything about Matt, how he got started in the business, and what we can expect from the Chris Buescher team, the number 17 Ford Racing, here for 2023. So let's go.
Dude, this is
NASCAR on Fox.
All right, Poor Star, what's up? So we're just, I got to get in the NASCAR mood. So, play a little NASCAR there, NASCAR on Fox. So
dude,
what's up, janitor?
I love it. I'm super humbled. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm really excited to learn the ins and outs of what goes on the other side of that barrier wall, man. I think those guys deserve a little bit more credit than they get. I'm not saying they don't get any. I'm just saying it's a big part of what they do out there, or at least of equal value to what's going on in the actual chassis of the car. So
Yeah, it's huge, and like you said, they don't get enough credit, in my opinion.
uh,
They're more behind the scenes. You see them, when they go down pit road, but there is so much work behind the scenes, um, nutrition, weightlifting, health, everything. So we'll speak with Matt on that and kind of let him break it down for
I'm
us
excited.
who are not the experts. Well, he's the expert. So introduce yourself to the fans out there that are watching. I've known Poor Star for about 2 years.
Yeah.
He's big in the custom culture clothing and stuff like that. Ah, man, I should wear your hat. I don't have your hat, but he's got his hat on. And yeah, so introduce yourself to the fans. It's the first time on the show, so make them feel welcome.
Yeah, man. One, I am no one special. I definitely ain't doing anything that nobody can't do. Big positive mental attitude guy. You hear it all the time. It almost sounds cliche. You can be anything you want to be, but dude, it rang pretty true to me, man. I think especially in 2022, 23, coming into that year, technology's here. There's what a time to be alive, dude. It's very capable. So I was big in action and motorsports, man. Not at any kind of professional level, but still very well respected sanctioned levels. I was fortunate enough to be on the backside of that business and see what it takes to really create new action and motorsports and/or monetize that space through textile and accessories, glasses, shoes, all the stuff that goes with it, dude. So I was very fortunate to be exposed to that and man, took it and ran with it. Created my own brand, doing really well. It is a saturated space, but I think, like we were saying about, Matt, it's really the backside of the business that counts, man. It's with e-commerce. If you got good packaging, a good user experience, and stuff of that nature, man, nobody really knows the difference between some 200,000 square foot warehouse company and glorified office space. So
And not to toot your horn any more than you already do. No, I'm messing with you. But you have some of the best packaging in the business. So where can we actually find your product? Because I just got another one of your hats, which that's the second one, and some sunglasses.
dude,
You do custom vans,
dude,
all kinds of custom apparel and stuff like that. Limited edition.
yep.
And he was one of the first to actually do NFTs. So
Yeah.
that was pretty wicked cool. So yeah, give us a quick shout out. What's your website? Where can we
Um,
find you?
Poor like poverty, man. Poorstarclothing.com. That's me, or at Poorstar on any social platform. I mean, dude, I think you could hang out with us on Grand Theft Auto 5 late at night when I get a couple minutes to myself on the PS5, man. It's we kind of locked that down, and then all of a sudden I think it's becoming a bit more digestible. I don't want to be bold and use the word trendy, to kind of expose that more affordable or less luxe lifestyle. So again, what a time to be alive, man. I'm super excited. I'm more excited though to talk to you and Matt about what goes on behind all that NASCAR. So I'm a big fan, like low key. I'm a big fan because like all the OGs from back in the day, like Rusty Wallace, Daryl Waltrip, all them guys that are all gone on now to be announcers. and then get sucked into a few projects that are relevant to that space. Have taken me some really really cool places, man. So
Yeah, and I've been around the scene growing up. We had a small 8th Mile Speedway, Kalamazoo Speedway up in Michigan.
yeah,
Kurt Busch actually will come do a couple races there every now and then. Um, so I got to meet Terry Labonte there, get my picture with him, all kinds of, growing up with Dick Trickle, all those guys. So you and I can talk for hours. So let's shut up and bring the man of the hour in,
yeah,
uh, Mr. Flying Shoe,
let's do it.
AKA Matt. So let's welcome Matt to the show. What is up, Matt? It's good to see you again. It's been a little while. And so go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you, or, not us, but the fans out there. So, and folks, don't hesitate. If you have any questions, do not, or go ahead and throw them in the chat so we can get those answered for you. So take the stage, Matt. It's all yours.
Definitely. I just want to start off with saying, hey, thanks for having me on the Sloppy Syndicate show. I'm excited to talk with you, Donnie. But
Absolutely.
I'm Matt Wilps. I am the jackman for RFK 17 car. So I am in charge of changing the tires very quickly during a NASCAR race, which is where I met you, Donnie.
Absolutely. That was a hell of a story in itself.
You guys just jacking around, cross paths.
Right. I got some pretty wicked pictures. I've been slacking on, but yeah, I'll have to send them to you, Matt. Some pretty good shots I got. But yeah, that was a hell of a story. Yeah, I mean, if you want to explain it, I sat on the pit box and they won. So right place,
Yeah.
right time. Met a super cool dude named Matt. So here we are. But so how long have you been in the business? How did you get started? Uh, what sparked your interest in NASCAR, and what got you to want to become a pit crew member or a member of the team?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I wrestled in college, and I heard there was an avenue to kind of extend my athletic career, and I heard about NASCAR pit crew. So me and two of my teammates from my wrestling team came down to Charlotte, North Carolina. We moved down here to do the pit crew, and the rest is history. I've been doing it for 8 years, and going good, going good. It's a very unique thing that I would have never expected to get into as a kid, but it's working out, and it's fun to do every day.
absolutely. And I didn't know you wrestled, so that's pretty cool. I grew up wrestling as well. 155. I was a little pipsqueak back then. You were probably much larger and much tougher than I was. But hey, I enjoyed wrestling at the time. Um, so how rigorous is being a pit crew member? I mean, it can't be easy. You got, 13 to 15 seconds to change 4 tires, do some adjustments, throw some gas in it, and get them on their way.
Yeah, and that's all stuff we're trained for. So it's not terribly difficult. We can do 10 stops in a day and feel great. But most of the wear and tear, I'd say, is just from the travel, the long weekends that we're going out to these different cities every single weekend. And then we have to perform. So I wouldn't say it's the actual pit stops that are beating you up too much, because we do we manage our reps at practice during the week so that we are ready to do the best stops possible at the races.
Yeah, and I can only imagine week in, week out for the season. I mean, there's some races like in Cali, then you come back to Daytona. So there is a lot of travel in it. So yeah, it definitely have to take its toll. And so for the folks out there listening, how could they, if they wanted to, how could they get started in NASCAR, or if they wanted to be a crew member, what would be the best avenue for them to take?
That's a good question.
If you want to be in a pit crew or work on a NASCAR team, you got to move to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's really the only way there is way to do it, and you got to meet someone that's in it and set up a tryout or set up an interview. That's really the only way in. I would say, and it's not like an exclusive thing. You could come do it. It's just it's a lot of hard work for till you get your feet under you, if you know what I mean. You're gonna be even with I'm sure the band life's the same thing. It's just you're gonna be grinding for 1 year, 5 years, forever, who knows? You got to come up and kind of risk it. Come to Charlotte.
No risk, no reward. So there you go, folks. Move to Charlotte, North Carolina, and throw everything you got. So give me about 8 months. Let me get back in shape. Let me hit the gym a little bit, and maybe I'll come try out. Yeah, I'm too old for that, but
You gonna join a CrossFit gym, Donnie?
I need to throw some tires around. And yeah,
There you
so
go.
interesting story. Not interesting story. The gas man, he he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Like
Big,
I
big
stood
guy,
next
Rick.
to him, and it was like my giant. He is like, I mean, the gas cans are obviously pretty heavy, but I mean, this dude is stocky and like 6'8". So I mean, you're a
Oh
tall
yeah,
dude yourself, but
he's a beast. He's filling that car up every single time. Josh Martin.
Now, how many
yes,
We
fuel is
he's
he?
yeah.
Uh,
What was that?
how many gallons of fuel is he actually picking up? Like
A fuel can holds 12 gallons, so it's like 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
Yeah, and then sometimes you do 2 gas cans in one stop, so he's got to
Right.
make a quick transition to get the new can.
And how many stops would you say you average per race? I mean, obviously it's based on laps and tracks and things like that. But how many times
But
during a race you think he picks that thing up?
yeah, it really just depends if it's like a tire dependent race or a fuel dependent race, but I would say between 5 and 10 stops.
So he's doing anywhere from 500 to 1,000 pounds a weekend in fuel.
Yeah. We're trained for this stuff, so it's not like a heroic effort. We just kind of go out there and do what we practice, and hopefully you practice good.
yeah. For us, it's heroic, and in a sense, it's like, damn, these guys, 13 to 15 seconds. It's like boom, boom, boom. It just
Oh,
happens so quick, like you said.
we're going 9 second stops now, Donnie.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. All right,
Don't know
Yeah.
about else.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on. We're going
right.
9 seconds.
Don't add a few seconds. All right, we're doing 9.
We're sensitive about that.
Right. So, pros and cons of the new wheel that they came out with. Do you like it? Do you not like it?
Love it. Love it. It speeds up my job. It speeds up the rest of the pit crew's job. So it makes it more exciting, makes it more athletic. It's definitely more fun to do the stop, but it's definitely more difficult to know when it's all the way on versus not. Because 5 lugs, it's pretty freaking clear. 1 lug, we're trying to go fast, and again, this is that balance between like risk and reward. So you got to find that fine line.
Right. Now I think a
Yeah,
lot of
that was. Go
a
ahead.
lot of F1 is single wheel, correct? Like a lot of the open wheel, a lot of Indy cars are single lug like that.
Yeah, I think that's where we took the design from.
Yeah, so a bit of a hybrid there, but I think that's kind of cool, man. I mean, to expedite it because I think you guys are running such a large car, such a large tire, and still a pretty small brake, right? Like what's the average like rim circumference there? 15, 17?
I think we're in 20s, 20-inch aluminum wheels.
Really?
Yeah,
Man, I thought there was so much. I mean, I have one sitting.
that's the old style. That's the 5 lug nut style. Now we got the 20-inch aluminums, I believe. Don't fact check me.
Fact check. No, I'm just playing.
Done.
Yeah, so it's made it super interesting for us as well as NASCAR fans. When the wheel's going to fall off. So the 2022
Stop.
season,
No.
the 2022 season, we
Never.
saw a ton of wheels come loose on the track. So yeah, so it's like you said, it's tough with the one lug nut to actually, you have protocol and stuff like that, but sometimes it slips through the crack, and there goes the wheel. So as a fan, it adds a little more, you know, is the wheel going to fall off? Some suspense for us. But yeah, as a pit crew, you don't want to hear that. You really don't want to talk about
No.
that. But
No, and we don't take it lightly because it is a dangerous situation. So that's something that we're cognizant every day at practice, and that's just the reality of it. It's just the stop's faster, it's more exciting, and we gotta check off on that tire. We gotta make sure it's tight.
and there's some penalties as well, if I'm correct. Doesn't the crew chief get suspended for a race, or there's some kind of protocol or some kind of penalty if the wheel does come
Yeah,
off. So,
the crew chief, the jackman, and the changer, whose tire it was, they get suspended for 4 weeks.
oh wow, 4 weeks. Okay,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's a
so it's not.
pretty strict penalty, man. Like they're really driving it home that they do not want this to happen, and some teams risk it, some teams don't, but we do our best.
Is there any dollar amount attached to that penalty? Does that come from the team or the companies, obviously involved? Like,
I'm sure the I'm sure the company could give you that dollar amount, but
right,
I have not calculated it. I would say, if you're in first place and you're about to get first place, and then the wheel comes off, that's a first to a 35th place finish. So that's a big loss. But
right. I
if
just
you're
didn't
running
know.
around in the back, if you're already running in 25th place and then you get knocked down to 30th place, it's not as bad. But either way, it's a problem, and I'm not sure if there's a fine or not. Fortunately, we don't have to pay that, but I think after the second or let's call it third infraction, they'll probably make you.
Right, right. Understandable.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
And
wild, man. I just know it's not cheap to go racing. You know what I mean? So I just didn't know, like, as far as like the backside of that business, like, what I don't want to say like reprimandment would be, but just like what the cost and effect is of something like that happening. I think to the average consumer, they're like, oh, it's just a wheel and tire, but it's like, from my experience, like in Moto America and MotoGP and things of that nature, I mean, the track and its blueprint as a whole, like I think you even have to have certain amount of spare tires aside before you can even go tech or even go get cleared to run. If
I think it's just a one lap penalty, and then we have another set sitting on the wall, so it's a one lap penalty, and then we throw another set on. So it's not it's a race killer. It's a race killer. So obviously we're trying to avoid that, and we're not going to have any. So
right, right. Oh,
not for the number 17 team, absolutely not. And NASCAR has made a ton of improvements as far as safety. And the one that comes to mind, I was actually in Daytona for the Coke Zero 400 when Dylan went up into the catch fence and I mean, obliterated the car. And just a testament to how well these cars are built and how well the chassis is and the framework is done, because it ripped the fence out. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, but that was such a scary scenario to see that car in the shape it was. So, all right. Can you hear me, Matt?
yeah, I got you.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Welcome to the internet, folks. We do have some issues every now and then, so we glitched out there for a moment, but we are back. And so, how did you get that tire there, janitor? We were talking a little bit about that Goodyear, and
dude, this thing I think came from, I want to say, Orlando Speed World when they did like one of their shootouts before they actually like made a transition to the track. Like I said, when I was back there doing some things with CFRC and Nas Energy Drink and some other people, which we don't have any affiliation anymore. Matter of fact, that speed park I don't think is there anymore. Like the quarter mile is, but as far as like everything else, it's just unfortunately no more to my knowledge. But we got it out of one of the stacks for the corners, man. My buddy Brandon, he just got his Pro 2 license and took out took out one of those buffers, if you will. So we were pulling them off the track, and we just ended up throwing it in the truck, and now it lives here in the studio.
nice. Yeah. So that track is, I mean, they drift and they do special events, but they don't do the weekly series anymore.
No,
We have an Auburndale Speedway. They still do weekly. And we used to have a really nice track. They used to race ARCA in Lakeland. And I mean, this has been 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
right.
They kind of tore that out and it's all warehouses now. So as a crew member, have you noticed um, the influx and some of the tracks that they're going to, because some of the older tracks are becoming popular again that haven't been raced in 15, 20 years, and NASCAR is making an effort to go back and such as the LA Coliseum. There's never been a race prior to last year, if I'm correct, at the LA Coliseum. So NASCAR is really dialing in and trying to reach the broad audience now. So
Yeah, NASCAR's definitely making steps to spread the word, make the sport a little bit more exciting, or just change it up. We have been going to different racetracks just to try out different markets, see if we'll actually get traction there. And I think the new rule set is a pretty good move, trying to make the car look a little bit more like a star. So it's all moves in the right direction.
And what would be your favorite track to perform at?
I like Talladega in
All right.
Alabama. It's a good speedway.
Good super speedway. Haven't been there yet, but it is on the bucket list. Um, Worst racetrack, and I'm gonna give you my opinion from a fan. Was Bristol dirt race. It was it's cool to experience one time, but after that, I don't think I would go back because you're covered head to toe in dirt, and if it rains, it's just like a swamp fest. So,
They don't need pit crews at the dirt races, so
oh, that's right, yeah.
I haven't been to one yet. So I'll have to take your word on that. But as far as worst race, I don't know if I could up with any. I think each one of them is gonna bring an experience, and you're gonna enjoy yourself, especially if it's your first time. It's worth checking out one time at least. It's just it's loud. These cars driving around. It's an experience.
Yeah, my ears rang for about a week and a half because leave it to me to not wear earplugs at Bristol.
Oh,
So,
you're crazy.
right. So my ears were
You,
ringing for like a week and a half, and I'm like,
yeah,
I hope this goes away.
you got that tinnitus
Right.
in
I was
2 hours. You
I was
already
like,
have
man,
it.
I was like, man, week and a half, and I'm like, and then I went skydiving not long after that, and I'm just like, all right, this doesn't feel good. But yeah, wear your earplugs, folks, because
For
yeah,
sure.
it is real.
Connie, you're living that exciting life. You're going races, skydiving, rock concerts, just doing it all.
I'm
That's
just
awesome.
trying to live, man. What is
Right?
life without living, as they say.
For
So,
sure.
but yeah. So, what do you got, Mister Janitor? You're a little quiet over there.
Man, I'm so fascinated that this was all able to actually come together, man. And I'm just absorbing all the backside of this business, man, because structure and strategy is probably one of the most, or two of the most important things to me. And I think it's cool that, you can move up there and respectfully and do the damn thing. And B, what it really takes. When we were green rooming, I thought it was cool that, they have a nutritionist and they have people that look after them as much as they look after their driver. So, I don't want to pry, but I think it'd be cool to unpack that a little bit more, man, and just really talk about, what happens in that day-to-day base, because I know there's probably more that goes on before you guys get to the track, or equally as much than when you get there.
Yeah, like we were talking about, the amount of resources that we have as a pit crew in order to become a better pit crew is just it's unlimited. We got a nutritionist, psychologist, sports psychologist, athletic trainer, weight trainer. We have two weight trainers and a coach for pit crew. So we got a big support staff. I'd say the most unique thing is probably the sports psychologist
Right.
because you wouldn't expect that,
No, no,
Uh,
when you
but
unpack
he's
that was interesting, man. I was like,
but it helps like with this team dynamic. One guy's shoving in to the right in one direction, and then another guy's pulling in another direction, and it kind of it like makes you think a little bit, and it it helps you communicate. So, and I think that's a big part of kind of finding consistency and speed is just having a team that meshes well, and you're not going to get that just not trying. It just doesn't happen out of thin air. So we're really taking steps to create that mutual interest. And
right.
we have a nutritionist too, and we're really dedicated to just getting everything right and optimizing everything for what we need to do. We have specific plans for staying hydrated on the weekends.
Yeah,
Like
that's
we
a
got a 3-day write up. Go ahead.
that was part of the NFT project I did, man. It was a cutoff tee, and the back was beat out of it, and you can see the rib cage, the lungs, and the whole rig. But saying that to say this, it was all about dehydration. That happened to me one time. I didn't know what it was, and like I said, man, when you're developing sports or you're developing products and things like that, you're in uncharted territory. But the fundamentals of, having the right nutrition and staying hydrated are like really crucial, especially when you're in that kind of environment. I don't want to say it's high stress. It's just very demanding, so it's cool, man, to hear that you guys have that. And like you said, I think just the anatomical language, because, everything's happening so rapidly. It's nice, like you said, to be able to know what your teammate or, whoever's to your left and right are doing, so you guys can complete that task as proficiently as possible. So that's really cool, man, that they have that much infrastructure around, the car, both in and outside of it.
For sure. And as far as the hydration, man, we're out in Florida in 102-degree weather, 95% humidity for, the whole day, getting the sun beat down on us. So it's a good thing. And anyone that has a demanding job should have a little bit of a focus on how to stay hydrated and how to be comfortable throughout your day. And it's a good lesson for life,
Yeah.
Step one, drink water.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you doing it like as a group, I think really helps, because it's to divide any of that stress amongst however many people are on the car at one point in time. I think definitely lightens the load as far as like just either overthinking something and not hooking an airline up, or missing the cap, or the fill neck, or what have you. I think it's kind of cool, man, because that's really the essence of a team. You know what I mean? I think if there ever was any definition for it, it would have some verbiage built around that, man. I think it's really, really cool, man, what you guys do over there. I have a lot of respect for it, dude. I wish they shined a little bit more light on it than they do.
Yeah, it was wicked cool to see in person just how efficient they are.
Yeah,
When they do the pit stop, it's like boom, boom, boom. They know what they're doing. All right, jump the wall, car takes off. And I mean, it happens in seconds, and it just to see the team work together in such a manner and as quickly as they do, it was, being front and center, seeing that right up close was something I'll never forget. It was super cool. So
absolutely. That's what I mean. I feel like it's equally as impactful as spectating. So participating, I can only imagine, has that much more validity. But let me ask you this, Matt. How many times are you guys practicing? Pre-race. Do you have a schedule for that as well?
Yeah, so typically we have a race on the weekend, and then we'll come in during the week and practice 2 to 4 days out of that week.
Right.
And in those practices, we'll just pull the car in,
Yep.
change all 4 tires, and we'll do, like 3 to 7 pit stops in a day. And it's all kind of tailored on where we're at in the season and what we're looking for that week.
Right. Nah, that's cool, man. That's like I'm just so fascinated with that. I don't know why. I know I keep repeating it, but I think it's just amazing. I really do, because I just know that there's so much more that goes into it. Like just us explaining it, I feel like doesn't give it the value you're trying to say, because it's just like there's a lot going on. I mean, how many guys are on that car at one time when it pulls in?
We got 5 pit crew members.
5. So you got
And
one
then,
at each corner. You know what I mean? And then your fuel guy.
yeah, two guys with an air gun.
Right.
And then one a jackman and a carrier,
Right.
and then a gas man who can only fill the car up.
Yeah.
So
Everybody has
we all
one.
get it done.
Yep, one job and get it done, and get it done quickly. So you're currently with the number 17 RFK Racing, Chris Buescher. Have you always been with? I know 2000. He's a 2015 Xfinity champ. Have you always been with RFK? Have you always been with Buescher? Or how does that kind of play out? Do you guys get switched around based off of company needs through RFK, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of run like a minor league sport or major league, if you want to call it that. We have you kind of sign a contract with the team for a certain amount of years, and you work with that team throughout that time frame, and they can use you however they see fit. So they want to put you on the top dog car, they can put you there. If they want to put you back on the developmental cars, they're going to put you there. You still have time to kind of build your way up to the skill level that you need. And sometimes contracts are moved around, and you have to go to another team. So I've only been with 2 different teams, and I've been with RFK, Roush Fenway Racing, but Kozlowski just jumped into the RFK Alliance. I've been with them for 4 years. So
Right on.
split my career between Hendrick Motorsports and Roush
Okay,
RFK.
nice. All right. And being surrounded by racing, was that something you grew up with and you really enjoyed, or was it something that
Yeah,
just sparked your attention one day or sparked your interest per
yeah.
se?
So I was never into racing as a kid, but I did have a remote control car as a kid. So I think that's kind of what got me into being into racing. But I was not a fan of racing until I started working in racing.
All right. And then being surrounded in that atmosphere, um, any thoughts or any ambitions to be a driver one day?
I don't think it's in the cards.
No.
That's a different path. Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta start young to be a driver.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Hmm.
And let's do the
I
old Ricky
wish.
Bobby.
Hey, do you want to put me in a car?
I'd love to see you in a car racing the
I'd
flying
love
shoe.
to.
There goes the flying shoe around the track. So, um, what better, I didn't know if, cause like I know in Monster Jam, a lot of the crew members that, the engineers or, that fix the car or fix the monster trucks, eventually they kind of go up and become a driver after X amount of years or, if they choose to do so. So I
Mhm.
didn't know if that was something kind of like in NASCAR. And like you said, a lot of these drivers start out as kids, racing go-karts, and then they go, small track, and then you know, one that really bring comes to mind is Carson Hocevar. He actually grew up in Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and he actually raced at Kalamazoo Speedway, which is the speedway, the eighth mile speedway. I grew up going to as a kid. So years later, Carson, was racing there, and then he's in the truck series. So that was pretty cool to see. Him growing up at the track, as an adult. I'm much older than he is, and him, kind of making the ranks and working his way through NASCAR. So that's really cool to see from a fan perspective. So all right, we got Ellie. What's up, Ellie? Thanks for joining us. Pleasure to have you in here, folks. Don't hesitate to throw any questions in there. You make my job a little bit easier if you throw some questions in there. But yeah, if you're not,
Harry American winning machine. If you ain't first, you're last.
so little little pep talk for you with the start of the season coming up. So what were some of the highlights of the 2022 season um, that come to mind? So I know, if I'm correct, the Bristol race, that was Buscher's second win in 222 races. So a lot of twos there. But if I'm correct, and the stats are correct, two wins, 222 races apart. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the beginning of your question. Highlights of 2022. Just the fact that I got on to be Chris Buescher's Jack Van, just really excited about it. The cards fell into place, and I got lucky and got put in the position to be on a great team. And then Bristol came up, and obviously, you know the rest of the story, Donnie. I met you in the pits. You came up. You said, "Hey, what's up, Matt? You wanna?" We introduced each other, and you said, "Hey, can I get up on top of the pit box?" I was like, "I'll see what I can do." And then you showed up in the middle of the race, and we got you up onto the pit box. And I honestly think you were my good luck charm. And
That
I,
put me in
I
your
do
pocket. No.
I do have a visual present. I'm not gonna give you what I have, but I got something to show you. So in the last great Coliseum, so since Bristol Motor Speedway, it's a Coliseum. They give swords to the winner. So
Right. Yep. All
so
right. Nice. So did every crew member get one of those?
yep.
Nice. That's super cool.
That's because you came to the race, Donnie.
I got to
Thanks
hold
for
it for a minute. That's all I
thanks for
need.
being
I
our
held
good
it for
luck
a minute.
charm. Yep.
So,
That's cool.
yeah, that was a wicked cool experience. Yeah, and I'll have to share some of those photos with you because some super cool photos that I've been slacking on and haven't edited, but yes, they're there. Um, so with the 2023 season, did I say that right? 2023, yeah, 2023 season fast approaching. Um, Jimmy Johnson announced that he's coming back. Um, some news there. Kind of retired. Did a little bit of indie racing. some commentating, and then I guess he got that itch and said, "I want to go back racing." So he's with Petty, I think. So give us some info, some insight, maybe some intel that we don't know yet about the 2023 season.
I don't have any insider information. I was on Jimmy Johnson's crew my first
That's that
4 years in the sport. What's that?
That's the NDA.
Yeah. Hey, what do you want from me?
Right.
I hate those things, bro. Anytime I those things in front of me, they're like, "Where you at?" I'm like, "Over here."
Yeah, no comment. I got nothing for you, Donnie. Sorry.
Right. You're out of luck, Donnie. We can't answer that. But yeah, so I plan on being at Daytona. Maybe I'll sprinkle a little pixie dust, bring some of that Disney pixie dust. Maybe you can get that Daytona 500 win, the all elusive Daytona 500 win. And yeah, so
Is it
any,
crazy
any,
that is? You know what I mean? Like the 500. I mean, there's so many wonderful tracks all over the country, and I mean, I'm native to Daytona, and it's one hell of a facility. But it's mind blowing to me how people come from all over the globe to see that space. And Matt, just from being in the field, like, do you think that's because of the history and the substance of that space, or do you think it's just really the world center of speed, or just one of the few, if you will, in that space?
I think you're right that it's all about that history. It's the biggest race. It's a speedway. Who doesn't like a speedway?
Right.
And it's been around for a long time. Also, it's the first race of the year, and it kind of gives everyone a shot to set their metric for the whole year. So
Right.
it's like you better show up and be ready, and let's see what racing's about. And that's kind of I think what makes it so exciting is it kicks off the whole season. So it's going to be a great race for you to go to, Donnie.
absolutely. And I love, talking about the history. The history is so cool. And there's so many documentaries. We don't have to spend a ton of time talking about it, but starting on the beach, racing on the beach in the sand, to a super speedway, and just the history of it's super cool alone. And yeah, there's,
It's pretty
yeah,
like my office, next door to the podcast studio I'm sitting in now is actually right on Granada Boulevard, which is State Road 40. And when you come to the bottom of that bridge, that big, what is now a condominium, used to be the Racers Hotel, and where the Truist, which was the SunTrust Bank, was the garage where they used to work on a lot of those cars. I had no. I read this plaque when I was going to public across.
yeah, there's so much rich history in Daytona with racing and
Up of us, man. But it's like literally right out front of my office, and I'm like, yo, how crazy is that, man? Like, who knew they had this entire hotel dedicated just to motor, and auto sports, and then a garage that, obviously they would change out based on, whatever sanction was in it. And I'm like, man, that's nuts, because the beach is literally like maybe 200 feet, east of that. So that is pretty cool, man.
yeah, I'm all for a good dirt race, but yeah, I think keep the dirt out of Bristol or water it down a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like it's like clay almost, so you can't really water it too much because then it comes super slippery. But yeah, I was head to toe in red dirt. So, but epic experience. If you haven't done it, by sure you need to do it. But yeah, any final departing words? We're getting ready to wrap up. We are almost 43 minutes in, and I know Matt is a busy man, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, especially with the season starting here in a couple of weeks, February 5th. So do you have to go to LA, or is that a non-pit race as well?
That track is so short they can't fit pit crews in there, so it'll be
Oh,
it's a quick shootout.
okay. All right. So you
Still a
don't
good
get,
race to see though. It's how often you get to see a race in that small of a
Right.
area.
yeah. And I love small, that's why I love Bristol so much, because there's so much banging and beating and hardcore race. And don't get me wrong, I love the super speedways as well, for the pure speed. And but yeah, the action is definitely in the small track. So make sure you check it out. It's on Fox, February 5th, LA Coliseum, and root for number 17, Chris Buescher. You can go to NASCAR.com, pick up some Buescher merchandise, rep the team, support them any way you can. And so, janitor, any final questions? Any departing words?
Dude, I am humbled. I really appreciate it, man, because I know this guy has a lot going on. You know, in the world of social media, we're just a couple knuckleheads talking to each other. But I think anybody's seen either one of us in our space, it would add that validity to it. So Matt, I really appreciate it, man. I learned a little bit, of some things I maybe had an idea of, but now I got some definitive. And I really appreciate that, man. I do sincerely. I think that's really cool that you could share that kind of stuff, man. So thank you.
Yeah, and we could honestly sit here for hours and pick his brain and talk, and yeah, but he's extremely busy. He's got a lot of work to do. Probably just got out of practice not too long ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're gonna let him eat dinner, enjoy his night off, and any final departing words from you, Matt?
I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. It was good talking with you. Any other time you guys want to talk, I'm in.
Absolutely. So maybe we'll do after Daytona, pending how that goes. Um, maybe we'll bring you on. It's obviously a hectic time. You're going to be traveling and all that. Maybe we'll do a mid-season or something. But we'll definitely bring you on the show again, catch up after you get a few races under your belt. And again, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. You are welcome anytime. And hopefully we'll see you in Daytona.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
Matt,
All right. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, folks, keep it sloppy, and we'll see you next time.